was set for the inevitable confrontation that would determine the fate of Gaul. Vercingetorix, with an army of 80,000 men, had retreated to the steep slopes and high walls of the fortress of Alesia, taking a defensive position to challenge Rome. Upon arriving in the region, Julius Caesar understood at a glance that this natural fortress could not be taken by a direct assault, or that the cost would be far too heavy even if it were. His decision was final. A siege would begin to bring the enemy to their knees through starvation. However, intelligence reports reaching the Roman headquarters changed the situation in an instant. The Gauls had not been idle. They'd sent word to all the tribes, and a massive relief army of 250,000 men was on the horizon, approaching to destroy the Romans. Under this immense pressure, Caesar devised the audacious strategy that would rewrite the history of military engineering: the double wall. Roman legionaries turned their pickaxes into weapons, working with superhuman speed. First, a 16-kilometer inner wall, Contravallation, was erected to encircle the fortress and trap Vercingetorix inside. Immediately after, a 21-kilometer outer wall, Circumvallation, was built facing outward to secure their rear and stop the approaching giant army. The space between these two walls was transformed into a minefield of antiquity, rigged with deadly trenches, sharp stakes, and hidden pits known as Lilia, to cut down the enemy before they could even reach the ramparts. The Roman army settled inside this donut they had woven and waited. Then the expected apocalypse broke loose. When the 250,000-strong Gallic relief army arrived at the gates of Alesia, the Romans found themselves in the middle of the greatest pincer movement history had ever seen. From the inside came starvation and Vercingetorix's breakout attempts. From the outside, a massive flood of humanity crashed against the Roman lines. At the fiercest moment of the conflict, the Gauls identified a geographical weakness on the northern front and charged that point with all their might. Their overwhelming numerical superiority began to crack the disciplined Roman shields. The defensive line was breached, and panic began to spread in waves. At that breaking point, where everything could end for Rome, Julius Caesar cast aside his role as a strategist. Realizing that remote command was no longer effective, Caesar donned his famous blood-red cloak, Pollumentum, so that he could be recognized amidst the dust and smoke of blood. Taking his last reserves and cavalry with him, he dove personally into the hand-to-hand combat at the very point where death roamed most freely. Seeing their commander on the front lines, swinging his sword, the Roman legionaries rallied with a divine moral strength that went beyond exhaustion. This final and savage counterattack turned the Gauls' intoxication of victory into sudden panic. As the massive relief army outside scattered and fled in shock, hope inside the fortress was completely extinguished. The next day, silence reigned over Alesia. Vercingetorix descended from the fortress, dismounted his horse, and silently laid his arms at the feet of Caesar, the owner of